Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Written on the Edge, Season 9, Episode 40 interview. We'll be talking with James Pauley Jr. and discussing his latest works. So let's get to know our guest. James Pauley Jr. was born and raised in a small town in southwestern Michigan. Don't want to misplace you in someplace else. He received his bachelor's degree from Albion College with a double major in German and Spanish, spending a semester each in Guadalajara, Mexico, and Heidelberg, Germany. Piqued his interest and a lifelong love of international travel. He began his career as a flight attendant in 1978, a job that he loved for 44 years. Throughout his life, he's worn many other hats as well: massage therapist, real estate agent, house flipper, painter, busboy, groundskeeper, delivery person, wine steward, waiter, babysitter, caterer, house cleaner, bartender, cake decorator, window washer, substitute teacher, janitor, and salesman. Pauley is an award-winning author of Bumpy Rides and Soft Landings and co-author of An Unconditional Friendship with best-selling co-author Charlene Potterbaum. He lives with his spouse, Rich, in Indiana. James, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, our returning champion, as they say. So you have a new book that we're going to talk about, but let's just, for people who missed your first episode, and you should go see it, I'm going to put the link up here. Definitely give our viewers and listeners a brief overall of how you got started in writing, what was the impetus, and then we'll move on to the release of your new novel, An Unconditional Friendship, Messages from a Colorful Granny and an Off-Color Gay Guy. So how did you get started in all this?
Well, first and foremost, I'm the gay guy.
Okay.
Okay, just to get that clear.
Right. Got to be on top of it.
I've always written from the time I was able to write. I've always enjoyed writing. Started with letters, pen pals, that sort of thing. But I never really thought it was worthy of doing anything with. And then in high school, and I just came across this recently when I was going through a box of my mother's belongings. She had saved all of our old schoolwork, papers, whatever. And I opened a box, and on the top was an essay that I did my senior year of high school. And it was in a creative writing class with one of my favorite teachers. But it was our final project, which was basically our grade. And I had forgotten about that. And my mother saved it, though. At the top, it said, A plus, keep writing, Jim. And I thought, well, maybe there is something,
Something to it,
but
yeah.
something maybe other than my long-winded letters to everyone that I thought were incredibly funny and profound. So I continued journaling all through college, through my adult years. And then I met Charlene that I wrote my new book with,
Yay.
our new book, in 2001. And it's a very serendipitous story. It was right after 9/11. And although I didn't know this flight attendant personally, one of my colleagues with American Airlines that had died, um, the service, she lived in Boston, but the service was in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is about 70 miles from here. So I decided to go just for closure. And they encouraged us colleagues to wear a uniform in respect. So I did. And it was a huge line waiting to talk to the family. And in front of me was this really feisty, fun older woman. And we just started talking and about everything. And she was very fearful because she had a granddaughter that was a flight attendant. And we talked about that. She asked if I was afraid to fly now. And I said, I can't live in fear. I never have been like that. But we just developed something in the hour that we were in line together. And when I left, I thought I should have gotten her contact information. I knew her name, but I think it was a year and a half later, I was at a book signing locally for a lady that had just written a book called Joy of Six. And so I went to it. And when I got to the front of the line to pick up my copy, the lady, the author, looked at me and we both at the same time said, I know you. How do I know you? So that's how we realized why we were brought together or whatever. So we immediately started emailing each other, and we always tried to one up each other with the longest email and the most interesting one. Well, unbeknownst to me, she was saving all these emails, and probably 3 weeks into it, and I mean, we were emailing 3 or 4 times a day. And I was a flight attendant, so I was traveling all over the world, but still emailing. And 3 weeks into it, she said, do you realize we're writing a book as we're doing this? And I'm like, a book? So when I got home, we sat down together and started putting everything together and figured out what we wanted to do, made a little outline, and it just started from there. And she really was my biggest supporter as far as writing because I didn't believe in myself, I guess.
Mm.
And she had a bestseller back in the day, so I was a little bit smitten or starstruck with her. And so we ended up writing this book. The original title was Granny and the Gay Guy. And that came out in 2003, I believe. And we had a great time with that. So fast forward to 2022, I think, we decided to resurrect it, completely repackage it, completely rewrite it, um, and bring it out as a whole new book. And that's basically what it is. It has the original concept. It's our emails back and forth. But I think the whole idea of the book or the meaning behind it is to accept people for the person, not the label that we create.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we just had such a good time, and our friendship was incredibly unlikely. She was in her 70s, married with 6 kids and 5,000 grandkids. I was not married. Well, I was with my partner, but I was gay, um, considerably younger, even though I'm almost to where she was when I met her. So it was almost like we were brought together for a reason. And we had so much fun with it. And we had fun with it all over again. And she's now 92, living in Nashville. She said to tell you hello.
Oh,
She
funny.
wishes she could be here, but that just wasn't possible. But she's still writing and very active. Did I
Gotta love
answer your
that.
question?
Yes, yes. You actually went there and you went on to my second question. So,
Okay. I'll probably continue doing that because I don't know when to shut up.
no, no worries, no worries. So here's my thing. It's kind of saying a little bit to me, David Sedaris kind of thing, where it's these vignettes of moments between the two of you. Is that a good way for a reader, a potential reader, to kind of look at it?
Very much. And he's one of my favorite authors. I love to read his bizarre stories. So it is, they're like essays. Both of my books are. This one, of course, is with someone else. It's our emails back and forth.
Right.
Um, but the nice thing about our books is you don't have to read it within a time period. You
Right.
can pick it up, read a chapter, 3 chapters, put it down, and then next time you're on the toilet, read another chapter or two and pick up where you were. I mean, it chronologically, the first book, Bumpy Rides, was in order with what was going on in my life. But my stories are so different because everything in life is so different.
Right. And
Experiences.
you were in an industry that actually would benefit those kinds of stories, happening because you were traveling all over the place.
Exactly. Yes. So um, my days were rarely repeated, and my experiences were never repeated. Thank God.
Yeah,
So,
and the
yeah,
drudgery.
yes.
Well, it's interesting too because you say that, and I know that there must be some really great stories about the two of you in compiling this whole thing. I personally go back when I heard you telling that part of it, how it all came together. I remember a writing session many moons ago. We're talking like before clickers were available for TVs. No, I'm kidding. It's not that far back, but I was in high school. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
And my friend she was in creative writing, and we had all our friends over at my parents' house, where I am now. And all of our friends had gathered, and she had this assignment to write a short story, and she wanted some ideas. So all of us, our friends from high school, we were all sitting around the table and kitchen table, and we were batting ideas around, and then we kind of came up with something. And so she was making notes and writing sections out, and it started to get later and later and later because we would bat ideas around and argue them out, and it was getting later and later and later. About 1 o'clock in the morning, my mom got up and she came into the kitchen, found all these kids still in her kitchen, and she's like, "You guys should go." And it was a school night too, so that was one of the reasons why she was startled to find us. But we gave her all these ideas that she had written out, so she went home that night and wrote the assignment because it was due the following day. I don't know why she waited. She was never like this. She was never one to procrastinate. But she wrote this, so she put together all the notes. She wrote it. She was so darn tired, she skipped the middle portion of the story that actually made the whole thing make sense. So when she got it back for the teacher, said, a lot of people who read it in the creative writing class said it's a really interesting story. The middle was kind of vague.
I get that. Well,
I'm sure
often
you have
told,
things like that,
definitely in my writing and in life, I'm always told that I'm like here, there, squirrel. But that's how I operate. And when I'm writing too, when an idea hits me, I immediately put it in my phone or jot it down or whatever. And many times I will go back and reference that and think, what the hell was I talking about? So now I'm trying to write um, exactly what I'm thinking, so there's no question later. But my writing, even when I have an idea for an essay or a chapter or whatever, there are times that I go back and I think I'm missing the main part here. It's a process. It is. And with your friend that stayed up the whole night doing it, I try not to do that anymore because I would
Right.
do the very same thing.
Otherwise, we would have indentation of keyboard on our
Right,
forehead.
right. See, when I was in high school, we didn't even have the keyboard except
Right.
for
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I think we're on the same page.
typewriters.
So
Yeah, yeah. So,
that is too
but
much.
yeah. Anyway,
Well, compiling, I mean, like how did you guys figure out what thread you were going to put through all of these emails? I mean, because you can say it's a collection of emails, conversations which tell these vignette stories, but people would probably go, well, how does that work? So how did you two come to the conclusion of how it was going to be threaded?
well, we did it very naturally in the beginning, just whatever hit us to respond to an email.
Did you put in
And
any of them the context of how you two met, or?
we did at the
Oh,
very
okay.
beginning of the book.
Okay.
That's all there. We said it was divine setup or whatever,
Right.
serendipity. But once we started writing, we're both the very same way. Um, Even in conversation, that as you're telling me something, I'm immediately ready to go with something kind of sort of related, but maybe not.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
We do start a lot of our responses with this might be not be related, but so we did
And
that.
it's the butt that gets you.
It is. And we wrote the entire manuscript and then we fine-tuned it um, to see really what made sense
Uh-huh.
and what
What
didn't.
shook out?
Right. And then we asked a couple of authors to read it. They gave us their input, actually took out a few parts. And then this time around, we rewrote or added to it. And this time around, it felt good immediately. and I added a couple of chapters to update the whole thing at the very end. And Charlene, that was 2 years ago. Well, it was a year ago this summer that I was finishing it up, and
Hmm.
she pretty much gave me full reins to rewrite it, but I conferred with her the entire time.
Right.
And then I hand delivered the manuscript in Nashville to her last year. And she called me later and she said, "Oh, I love it." She said, "But you're always putting words in my mouth." And I said, "Oh, honey, in this situation, I not only put words in your mouth, I put words, sentences, paragraphs, and in two cases, entire chapters in your mouth." And she's like, "I
And there was a
love it." And
few
I thought,
German subtitles.
exactly. But I knew our dynamics. I knew our beliefs, our thoughts, whatever. And the whole premise of the book is just accept people. And
Hmm.
recently I was submitting it for possible book awards. And as you know, you have to pick the genre or the category that you want to submit it for.
Right.
And in some cases, you can do two or three different ones, which again, Bumpy Rides got most of its awards in humor, but it got one in memoir. So, An Unconditional Friendship, of course, I went right to LGBTQ plus, which I did with Bumpy Rides also. But there were a couple that didn't have humor, and one in particular didn't have much of anything. It was just like very basic ones, but one was inspirational. And I thought, bingo, this is hopefully an inspirational book. And we'd love to see LGBTQ plus read it because we think it would be beneficial, but also mainstream big time because this has been the original book was instrumental in a few friendships forming with some people that one lady in particular had one child, came out to her when he was 21. They're extremely religious, and she did not deal at all with it. She tried to get him into conversion and all that.
Oh, wow.
And a friend of hers gave her our book, and she was like our groupie coming to our book signings and all that because she said it changed her way of thinking. And now she had a very loving relationship again with her son and his life partner. And
Yay.
that's what we really want it to do. So I think it's a good tool for especially young people that are trying to figure things out, coming out, trying to come out. And I think it's especially good for parents as they navigate.
Well, it's always funny too, because I think that, you often hear the cliche line, you can't make this stuff up. And life is always much more interesting than anything we as writers can dream up, because just the randomness of it all,
Mhm.
and in being in the moment. And I think here's what I think, that I'm fearful for the children of these generations that are coming up behind us. I think social media and smartphones and smart devices and all these things are actually dumbing down the populace in a way that it's taken away our ability to reason and socialize. And I
Mhm.
fear for the children that, and I'm using the phrase that Billy Porter uses, for all the younger generation. I think the problem is that, a lot of them are going through literally a pandemic of loneliness and disconnect. And I think a
Mhm.
book like yours, that you have there, is a great way to demonstrate ice breaking capabilities, and the fact that you both were in this line for quite some time. And, in fact, when you were saying it, I immediately shot to Grace and Frankie being in their friend's funeral line, and the whole fallout from their impending divorces with Martin Sheen and Sam Watterson were happening during that whole thing. And the randomness of something at a somber occasion, and how certain things can happen that you had no way of seeing coming, but recognizing it and stepping up to it, as opposed to what I fear for the kids is nowadays, because now they have to have play dates. They can't just go out and randomly be out and be sociable. there's a lot of fear mongering, there's otherness, that we didn't have. I'm sure it was present when we were around, but we didn't have that ability to instantaneously connect and find this stuff. So it felt slower if things started happening or going down a darker path. It took some time for it to
Mm-hmm.
come our way. And I what I hope is that books like yours, the one you've written, gives our youth, especially our queer youth, the ability to stop and smell the roses. Pardon the another cliche, but because I think sometimes they go at such a breakneck speed and they consume and they binge and they go through all this stuff that I sometimes think they miss those opportunities for connection. Do you know what I mean?
I do too. I do too. Like an old telephone call, actually talking to the person. I was reading
As
something
opposed to
this morning that,
texting.
yes, I was reading Miss Manners today, I think it was. And it was about that, how a woman said she decided to get off of social media completely. And I thought, wow, maybe that's an option. And by the way, I'm no longer an X, so you can remove that from
Okay,
my
done.
information.
We don't call it that. We actually still call it Twitter. We refuse to give him that.
Whatever. Twitter X. I'm no
Yeah,
longer
exactly.
on.
We got you, girl. We know.
Yep. But she's
But
like, a lot of her friends are mad at her because that was their way of connecting. And she said, what about an old-fashioned phone call? What about meeting for lunch or breakfast or
yes,
whatever?
absolutely,
And it,
absolutely.
that's becoming fewer and farther between now. People are relying on social media to converse. I'm not saying I don't, and I do. My co-author Charlene is 92, and I get 10 texts a day from her, which amazes me. Um, they're usually about that long.
Right, right,
Here's me, oh my gosh. And they're all voice activated. So you never know what she's gonna say. But
right.
those are book worthy too for a future one. So
And but it's like, have you seen the show Heartstopper?
I have not.
Well, I was just having this conversation because also on the channel we do reactions to shows, and Albert, my co-host for that part of our channel, he lives in Mexico City, and so it's nice because I'm a gay Mexican and so is he, but we're on opposite sides of the border. So even though
Hmm.
we come from the same culture, we don't have the same experience, which I think makes for
Hmm.
interesting reactions. But we've been watching and reacting to Heartstopper as it's been playing out. And one of the things I have to say, I have to give Ellis Osman credit for is she has found a really clever way of showing the youth that that you can have the social media and the texting and all that stuff, but the value in what happens in real life, or IRL as the kids like to say, is that there is human connection and human interaction. And that's one
Hmm.
of the things I think she does very well, is that she shows the balance. She shows the kids the balance, that it's not all on the device. You really have to
Hmm.
get in front of someone and make that kind of a connection.
Hmm.
And then what I love about your book, and the reason why I'm tying this back to all of this, is that yours shows that even as you get older, those serendipitous moments, those magical moments happen, and you have to be present enough in what's going on in your life to see it and to know, oh, this is one of those moments, and step up to it. You know what I mean?
Well, and for me personally, as I've gotten older, more and more of those serendipitous moments are happening because
Mm-hmm.
I'm open to it, I'm aware of it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful for it, and I could go on and on about the things that happen. And I have a couple of friends that have said, well, things like that don't happen to me. And before I can say anything, they look at me because they know what I'm going to say. I know I haven't opened myself up to it, or I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. It's right there, but you're choosing to busy yourself with whatever,
Right.
social media, whatever,
Right.
and you're not allowing yourself to see anything other than that.
What I think that And I think there's often an imposter syndrome for a lot of us, especially those of us like you who decide to do essayist kind of work or real life kind of conveyance of our
Mhm,
experiences. People think, oh, there's nobody's going to want to read this. Nobody's going to. But the thing is, what we love most about humanity is our ability to tell stories. And what may be boring or mundane to you could be immensely fascinating to someone else. And I think as writers, sometimes we hold ourselves back because in many respects we think, oh no, this is not going to be interesting. Yet you may include it anyways, and then come to find out after it's published and out there, you get a random email from somebody who it moved
mhm,
immensely. You know what I mean?
mhm,
And then you begin to
mhm,
realize, oh, wait, this does have relevance. And
mhm.
if anything, I think it helps, and I want your opinion on it. I think it helps push the narrative from authors to other people saying, write, write, just write
Mhm.
things,
Mhm.
put your own voice out there, you know, because I think that, and especially for the queer community, we really, really, really need more queer voices to keep the dialogue going because well, us older cats in the neighborhood are reaching our golden years now, and these kids need to really start to pick up the baton and carry it forward. And to a great degree I think they do, but I think the issue is that they become so reliant on our devices that um they don't really realize the value of actually capturing all of that. Yes, you can do it in video. Yes, you can do it, in other ways. But I think that the ability to write, there's a cathartic process that goes on when you're putting it all down
Sure,
in words,
sure.
you know?
Mhm.
So I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, yeah, I think age isn't important when it comes to all this because the younger generation are more attached to their devices and everything because they've never known anything else.
Exactly.
But um, I always say that I'm very eclectic in pretty much every aspect of my life, which is all
Same,
inclusive.
girl.
Yeah. And my friendships range from people that are 92 to 21. And my young friends, especially, I try to instill in them exactly what you were saying and put down the devices, be aware, look, listen, learn. There's so much out there to explore and
Well,
write, always write.
yeah,
Because,
and I think that the devices have become a crutch, a social crutch to not engage. Do you
well,
do?
and you're hiding behind it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're and you can pick and choose what you say and you can alter it or edit it. Whereas if you're in front of someone and make a buffoon out of yourself, that's you.
Right. You have to
Um,
be mindful of
and
what you're doing.
and those can be the funniest moments for everyone,
Hmm.
and just have a good time with it. But I've always encouraged people when they come to signings or whatever, when they say, "Well, I like to write, but I can't. I'm not good." Yeah, you are. If you're writing anything, you're writing. It's therapy for you. It's going to be interesting to someone. Like you said, there were parts in my first book that I thought, I hope people can relate, or I don't know about this. Those were the ones that people always brought up. Um, because there was humor, there was poignancy, there was travel, and a lot of people have reached out and said that they love it because they have vicariously gone through it with
Hmm.
me,
Hmm.
to places that they never could go on their own or have don't think they could go to. We can all go anywhere, and I do encourage them to do that too, but write it. Writing
Yes.
is the best therapy in the world, for
Yep.
me anyway.
No, absolutely. I'm totally there with you. Well, in the interest of time, let's just let me ask you one thing. Is there something about the book that I didn't think to ask that you want people to know about it?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything, but just basically that it is allowing people to be exactly are they as they are meant to be, especially young people, but it's not just for young people. I know people that have come out. I have a transgender friend that um, was married for 30 some years, had children, decided at age 62 that that was no longer for her. Um, it's all inclusive, this type of book, because
Mhm.
it's reaching out. There's something for everyone in it because I talk about everything. I talk about um, being gay, being straight, and friends that are straight, her. We cover everything.
Right. Right.
So it's just about having a good time with it while accepting it just as it is.
Yeah. No, absolutely. What
It's a
can
very
said about it?
simple concept.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. But a powerful one, you know?
I hope. I think it is. I mean, I read it. Okay, this is weird. Every once in a while, I will read what I've written, pretending that I'm third person, that I've never known
Right.
anything
Yeah.
about this.
I think a
That is
lot of
weird.
authors are nodding their heads right now.
But it is kind of a weird thing. And my partner of 42 years knows me probably better than he wants to. When I was writing Bumpy Rides, I was sitting on my laptop. He was sitting on his end of the sofa watching TV, and I was on my end rereading the final manuscript. And I started trying to suppress my laughter. And he looks over and he goes, "What's so funny? Are you reading your own writing?" And I said, "Uh-huh." And he goes, "That's just not right, Jim." And I said, "No, that's exactly what it is, right?
Yeah. You
When you
know
can
you've
read
hit the
it."
nerve if it causes
Right,
yourself to laugh.
right,
Yeah.
right. So yeah, so
Excellent.
that's yeah.
I love that. All right. So are you ready to have a new list of get to know you questions?
I'm sorry.
Are you
I
ready for
you
our
said
list of get to know you questions?
I hope so.
Okay. So just for context, people, James was on earlier this year, so he's already done this year's list. So I'm throwing at him completely ad hoc last year's list of questions, but I think he can handle it. He's a pretty smart guy. So this is in the year of wow, which was last year. What one word describes your favorite food?
What one word describes my favorite food? Any word?
Yeah,
Um,
it can be a certain food too. It's whatever you want it to be.
favorite. Um, tangy.
Okay. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. I like a bit of tang. All right. So, what is your favorite entertainment genre?
It's kind of a tie with humor and again, poignancy, serious
So, kind
drama.
of like dramedy,
Yeah, but I always like that touch of humor in there somewhere.
right? Which is where the comedy
Um,
comes. The dramedy, yeah.
right, right.
Okay.
So
Um,
those two,
okay. Where are you on the spectrum of mundane versus magical?
more magical, I would say.
Yay! Good for you. We're all unicorns.
Wouldn't mundane be boring,
I
really?
know exactly, exactly.
Oh my God. My life is always changing. I'm always willing to try something new right
Uh-huh.
now, and I'll just throw this in. I decided to keep my brain cells active, so I signed up for all these courses at it's a local place for seniors. And initially I'm like, well, the nerve of them thinking I'm a senior when I got a catalog. But these are great. They have so many different classes, but I waited. I didn't get the catalog until just before you registration was due. So everything I wanted to take was full. So
Uh,
I'm now learning American Sign Language, juggling, and pickleball.
how random is that?
Really?
All right. Okay. What is your preferred level of PDA?
PDA?
Public displays of affection.
Oh, PDA, duh. I'm like, is this a trick question? What is my feeling on it?
Yeah. What's your preferred level?
Oh, level. touching, hand holding, probably not French kissing
Yeah.
on either part, but affection. I mean, true affection
Right.
that
Right.
even just friends are showing each other.
Yeah.
That that casual hug, embrace, touch, whatever. I love to see that.
Yep. Yep. There are really great World War II photos of the men in service and how they were much more intimate with each other just on a buddy and a friend level. And I'm sure that came about because of the severity of the situation they're in.
Yeah, what
But
they were going through.
yeah, but it's really heartwarming to see these big macho men in wartime situation have these moments of quietude where they lounge against each other. They kind, and it's just you can tell that society we've lost that. We've lost that
We have,
ability to be intimate for some bizarre reason that we've all collectively just gone, oh no, that's a bit too much. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, and that takes me to my career as a flight attendant. I was commercial for 35 years. I miss that camaraderie, and we are very touchy-feely
Hmm.
in that job just because,
You're the face of the company.
yeah, and we're together for so many hours on those long flights. And you develop a wonderful rapport, bond, whatever. But um, my partner has gotten to know a lot of my flight attendant and retired flight attendant friends, and he used to say, "You're so touchy-feely." Yeah, not
Goes
with
with the
you,
job.
not with you, but with them I am.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, exactly. As
But
part
I
of the
love it.
the whole job description, Rich. Come on.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, where's the environment that you relax the most?
Um, Either in my den, which I'm in my den right now. This is where I like to do my writing.
Hmm.
It's kind of my
Safe space.
comfortable, happy place, safe
Yeah,
space.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in here a lot.
Okay. Your preferred beverage.
In the morning, afternoon, or evening.
Your call.
Um, I drink what I drink the most is water for the benefits, and because I like water. I start with coffee in the morning, my favorite before noon, and then afternoon, I don't like my wine, and that's when I come up with some very
Nothing wrong with
creative
that.
ideas.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm not a soft drinker. While I'm writing, I might have water, maybe coffee if I'm just trying to get a kickstart in the morning.
Yeah. Me, it's peach iced tea. I have it all. This is
Oh, I
by
like
me
that
all the
too.
time. Yeah.
I like that too.
Yeah. All right. Well, where do you fall on the scale of youthful naivete versus the wisdom of experience?
Probably at this point in my life, at 68, wisdom of experience, I would like to think. At least that's my feeling. Others
Right,
might
right. But
differ,
there's a
but
child in there somewhere.
oh, there's a major child, and there's the dirty mind of a 14-year-old boy
Well, there you
always.
go. There you go.
Well, and I do have to be careful because my eyes have a language of their own, and there are times that
They'll
I might
betray
look
you.
at I might look at someone like Rich, and he knows exactly what I'm thinking, and his eyes are more they're a language too. They're pleading for me not to say it, but that's
Don't,
just how it
don't,
is.
don't, don't.
Don't. But I'm kind of in the middle of the child and wisdom,
Well,
I would think.
I think that's a good place to be honest with you. All right. Your
Yeah.
favorite fictional character.
Fictional character. Um, oh, that's a tough one. I have I like so many genres. What would my fictional be? Okay, this is kind of weird. It's not a real deep thing, but I love Lula and Stephanie Plum series with Janet Ivanovich. And she's pretty fictional, but she's pretty real if you know people like that. I don't
Uh-huh.
know if you're familiar with Janet
No, I know
Ivanovich and
who
all that.
Jenna. Yeah, I know who she is. Yeah.
I love Lula. I mean, I love and no offense to Janet, but this is kind of mindless reading for me.
Yeah.
It just, it makes me
Well, no, I
laugh.
mean there are those really fun beach reads that you're not meant to take them seriously because
Right.
all for the
And
joy of reading.
yes.
Okay, well, my favorite, I have to say, I have to put this on, and I'm going to put a bug in your ear. You need to go find Rosalind Russell's biography, or autobiography. She wrote it with a ghostwriter, um, called "Life Is a Banquet."
I'm going to
It's
write that down.
it's out of print, but you can still find it. It is hands down one of the best and funniest life stories I have ever read. She's our patron saint. So for us, for Vance and I, our favorite is Auntie Mame because it was written for
Uh-huh.
her. Yeah. So yeah, I
Oh,
totally,
I'll find that.
yeah, go
Definitely.
find Life as a Banquet. You will not be disappointed.
Well,
Tons of Hollywood gossip that's paired into there. Yeah, I don't even want to spoil it by giving you a tidbit of it because it's so good. It's so good.
I love gossip.
Yeah. She was in the thing of it. There was one where she was at a dinner with Coco Chanel on one side of her and Winston Churchill.
Oh,
Now that's a
wow.
dinner party
Oh
you
my
want to
gosh.
be
Really. And be able to hear everything
at.
going on.
Exactly.
That's
All
where
right.
multitasking comes in good.
Exactly. She's phenomenal. All right. So, final question: your favorite mode of travel?
Okay, so I was a flight attendant for so many years. There were times I felt like I had a jet engine up my butt. My favorite mode of travel is car. I love to do road trips. Just because it's different, because it doesn't involve an airport. It doesn't involve crazy passengers, fellow passengers. It doesn't involve carrying 3 to 4 ounces of my favorite products. It just involves hopping in the car and not, and my dream is to just hop in the car and take off for a month sometime and end up wherever we want to end
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if Rich
Absolutely.
is on board with that, but um, I'll let him decide. And then if he wants to
Just
go,
tell him
he
you're going
knows.
out for a coffee and just keep driving. Just keep driving.
Really. And he probably won't even notice until, well,
Right.
he's hung
An
until
hour
he
later, he's going, "Where is the Starbucks we're going to?"
really, until he's hungry. Where's my dinner? Where's Jim? A week into it. But yeah, so I would say car.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, you made it through the list. Bravo.
Well,
So, what else have you got going on? And where's the best place for people to follow you to keep up with what you're doing?
probably,
Oh, there you go. There you go. I don't even have to type it on the screen. Okay, perfect.
and if you go to that, I try to stay current with the events. I'm learning how to change things in my website. I had my website created, but it gets a little expensive to have everything changed constantly. So I
Yes.
thought, okay, I'm not that dumb. Well, I can learn. If I can learn pickleball and
Right.
juggling and American Sign Language, I can learn to navigate and change my website. So I have been able to put all the current events on. There are some book signings coming up, and they're
Okay.
all on the website under the
Perfect.
events. So
And you're
yeah,
on like Facebook and a few of the other socials,
Facebook,
right?
I'm on Instagram.
Okay.
Um, those,
We'll provide all the links
okay,
on the screen here for people,
okay.
and it's also going to be on our website. On your page, so they can always start there. All right. Anything else? Any words of wisdom before we part ways?
No, but I am working on a couple of things. I have a children's book that I actually wrote many years ago that I'm trying to resurrect now and make a change to be current. Um, Working on another similar one to Bumpy Rides and Soft Landings. Um, I'm just I'm having a great time with life,
There's nothing wrong with that.
juggling
So
my
so few
balls,
of us can actually say that.
pickleballs,
So just go with it. Go with it.
having having dinner parties when we want. I'm kind of loving this retirement gig, even though I'm busier than I've ever been.
The only
But
thing I get in the retirement thing that drives me nuts is I don't always know what day it is unless I look at my
We
phone.
never do, and then we argue about it. It's like, "Today's Monday, right?" "No, it's Wednesday." But we both have a hard time with that.
The only
But
one
the
I
thing
know, is that I have an alarm set for Thursday morning, so it's for me to put out the trash cans. That's the only way I know that it's Thursday.
I need that too because I will get up in the middle of the night on Wednesday night to Thursday, to put the trash out because they pick it up so
Yeah.
early, and we have a lot of trash. But the thing I do love about retirement and the fact that I was gone so much of my career, um, being able to, what we talked about earlier, actually physically get together with friends or acquaintances that I haven't been able to keep up with for a long time. And now I surprise Rich. I will say, like at 4 o'clock, by the way, we're having a dinner party for 6 in 1 hour. And he's like, "What?" Surprise.
Calm
So,
yourself, it's catered.
yeah, and he retired also. He retired in May. So we're now, for the first time in 42 years, together 24/7, 365.
My husband and I have been that way since my cancer journey began, and I'm still technically disabled, even though I have no evidence of disease. So yeah, I totally get
Yeah.
it. I get, but it actually, if you really are in sync with your partner, it actually, you
You hu
find it to be kind of a silver lining, you know?
you hunker into it, and I think we both have enough respect for each other that we let each other do our own
Right.
thing,
Hmm.
whatever, and
Hmm.
then we get together, might pass each other in the hallway, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm
Oh, you're
surprised he
still
hasn't
here?
I'm surprised he hasn't come in here to start talking to me even though he knows I'm busy, because he takes that as an invitation when he sees me typing away to start regaling me with all these stories, and it's like, "I'm working," but I don't say that. I think it, but I don't say it. So, I'm sorry I got off the tracks
No, I
again.
love that. I love that. Absolutely love every word of that. All right, everybody. Well, we'd like to send a huge thank you to James for coming onto the show today.
Thank
James,
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So we at Written on the Edge are proud to introduce you to new media. We at Written on the Edge are proud to introduce you to new media by queer content creators. If you enjoy learning about new artists or hearing our thoughts on entertainment media, please like and subscribe so you get the alerts for new episodes. This show is produced by Rogue Ravens Media. For our disclaimers, links to social media, our listen stations, or to sign up as a guest, visit www.ropepodcast.com. Tune in next week for your queer media fix. Bye now.
Oh, what's that? Closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.